The screen pulsed in the dark room as the hum of old machines rattled like an unsteady heartbeat. The protagonist sat hunched, eyes burning, whispering, "It's now or never." His trembling fingers flew across the keyboard, each keystroke carrying the weight of betrayal, fear, and defiance. A storm brewed outside the cracked window, rain carving rivers down the glass, as if the city itself wept for what was about to unfold. Isael's voice buzzed through the headset, calm yet strained. "You cross this line, there's no going back." He clenched his jaw, muttering, "Then let them come." A flashing alert painted his face red. System breach detected, the government tightening its claws. His heart pounded like a war drum, sweat dripping, breath sharp. Somewhere deep inside, his anger over years of silence and injustice flared into fire. Tonight wasn't about revenge, it was survival. His screen exploded with data streams, walls of code like weapons unleashed. Lightning tore the sky as alarms screamed. He was no longer the hunted underdog, he was the storm. The silence after the alarm felt heavier than the storm outside. The protagonist whispered, "They know I'm here," his voice breaking with fear. His ally responded, "Hold steady, you've trained for this moment." He stared at his trembling hands, haunted by memories of nights filled with hunger, betrayal, and voices that told him he'd never matter. Tonight was proof they were wrong. He closed his eyes, hearing the distant hum of sirens in the streets below, the city restless and alive. Rain hammered harder, as though urging him forward. "If I fail," he muttered, "I disappear, and no one remembers me." His chest tightened, but a flicker of determination burned beneath his dread. The system fought back, encryptions tightening, screens flickering with warnings. He drew in a sharp breath, gritted his teeth, and dove deeper. This wasn't just hacking, it was war. His fingers moved with frantic precision, yet every keystroke felt like striking against a steel wall. "It's adapting," he hissed, as the system shifted, countering his every move. His ally's voice cracked, "You need to breathe, or you'll burn out." He slammed a palm on the desk, rage mixing with fear. The monitor blinked, revealing encrypted firewalls, layer upon layer, like a fortress designed to mock him. His chest heaved, frustration clawing at his sanity. "You can't lock me out," he snarled, sweat dripping. For a moment, he saw his reflection in the dark glass of the screen. Tired eyes, a man at war with himself as much as the machine. Somewhere beneath the chaos, buried in lines of hostile code, was a truth he could not yet name. He typed harder, his determination drowning out the storm. The system roared alive with a sudden counterattack, screens filling with shifting scripts and flashing denial codes. The protagonist froze for a second, his pulse thundering in his ears. There inside, his ally gasped. He knew it wasn't just code anymore. The government had activated live trackers, tracing his every line. The rain outside blurred into streaks of chaos, sirens growing louder. His breath quickened as he muttered, "So this is how they hunt." 1,000 fears struck at once: prison, silence, erasure. Yet beneath the panic, something inside him hardened. He whispered, "Not tonight." His hand steadied, defiance sharpening his focus, as if he had been waiting his entire life for this war. Thunder exploded, shaking the fragile walls of his room. Sweat poured down his neck as the room seemed to close in. His ally's voice was faint now, distant, lost in static. The protagonist whispered, "They'll never take me alive," a promise to himself as much as a warning to his enemies. His mind flashed back to the nights he slept hungry, alone, discarded by the system that now hunted him. Anger surged, more powerful than fear, burning through his veins. He slammed new strings of code, fingers steady now, guided by rage. Each keystroke felt like defiance, each command a rebellion. The walls of firewalls began to crack, and for the first time, the system bled. He leaned closer, eyes blazing. "I am the storm," he whispered as lightning ripped across the city, his defiance echoing in the chaos of code and thunder. The room felt smaller as dawn crept through rain-streaked glass, turning shadows into harsh reminders of the night's war. The protagonist whispered, "I survived, but they're coming." His ally's voice crackled, steady but urgent. "You've exposed their defenses. Now, you need to move." He shut his laptop with a trembling snap, heart still pounding like gunfire. Years of invisibility, of hiding in forgotten corners, had shattered with one night of rebellion. Sirens in the distance echoed louder, closer, a reminder that the city no longer belonged to him. He grabbed a worn backpack, stuffed with drives, wires, and fragments of his rebellion. The mirror caught him in passing, pale, unshaven eyes wild, a ghost fighting to live. For a moment, doubt poisoned his resolve. Then thunder shook the streets and he muttered, "No more running." The streets bled with sirens, flashing red and blue across puddled asphalt. The protagonist ducked beneath a flickering street lamp, his hoodie pulled tight. His ally whispered through comms, "Safe house is 10 blocks east." Each step was weighted with paranoia, eyes scanning alleys where shadows shifted like hunters. The city was awake now, restless and hostile, the government's surveillance stretching unseen wires through every block. He remembered his childhood here, dirty shoes, stolen bread, nights beneath bridges, and felt rage twist inside him. Those who built cages for the poor now hunted him for breaking digital walls. He pressed on, whispering, "You can't erase me." The safe house was nothing but a decaying apartment above a shuttered store, paint peeling like dead skin. His ally waited inside, a tall, stoic figure in a black coat, face hardened by years of survival. The ally muttered, "You drew too much fire." The protagonist dropped his backpack on the table, replying, "I had no choice. They're already here." Both men stood in silence, rain drumming on rusted metal outside. The ally finally sighed, "If you keep fighting like this, you'll burn out before you win." The hacker's eyes flared, whispering, "Better to burn out than fade into their silence." They spread maps and drives across the table, the room glowing faintly with dying electronics. The ally pointed, voice low, "They'll trace your breach back here within hours." The protagonist ran his hands through his messy hair, whispering, "Then we strike first." His ally's jaw tightened, a shadow of doubt crossing his face. The silence was filled with memories neither spoke aloud, betrayals, prison scars. Finally, the ally muttered, "You're fighting a machine built to swallow people like us." The hacker leaned forward, fire in his eyes. "Then I'll choke it." Thunder cracked, shaking the fragile safehouse walls. The night gave way to a gray dawn, the city's noise muffled by storm clouds. The protagonist stood by the cracked window, eyes locked on the skyline where government towers pierced the fog. His ally lit a cigarette, smoke curling like ghosts. "You sure you're ready to burn it all?" he asked. The hacker's reflection stared back at him from broken glass, a gaunt figure carved by rage and loss. "I was born in fire," he whispered. Lightning sparked far beyond the towers, and in that moment he felt not like prey but predator. The storm was his weapon now. The safehouse air thickened with tension as silence pressed against the walls like a predator. The protagonist muttered, "They're inside my network already." His ally scowled, "You should have stayed hidden." The hacker slammed a fist against the table, drives rattling under his rage. He could feel the government breathing down his spine, algorithms dissecting every move, closing in with surgical precision. He leaned forward, voice raw, "If I don't fight now, I'll never be free." The ally's eyes flickered with unease, a shadow of fear betraying his hardened mask. Rain hammered louder, the storm echoing his fury, and somewhere deep in the hum of failing lights, betrayal was already taking root. The screens flickered to life, filling the room with red pulses. The protagonist typed furiously, sweat dripping, whispering, "Show me where you're hiding." His ally leaned against the wall, arms crossed, muttering, "You will only dig your own grave." Suddenly, encrypted data poured across the monitors, shifting like a digital labyrinth. The hacker's heart raced as he spotted fragments of surveillance files, images of himself, his childhood streets, his mother's face. His breath caught as anger surged. They've been watching me since the beginning. The ally said nothing, shadows deepening around his stern features. Thunder rattled the walls as betrayal loomed unseen, lurking between trust and silence. The ally stepped closer, his voice lower now, almost threatening. You think you can outplay them, but you're just a pawn in their war. The hacker turned sharply, fury in his eyes. You think I'm weak? Then why are you still here? The room crackled with the storm outside, thunder colliding with sirens in the distance. The owl's face was unreadable, scars etched deep. A man who had seen too many betrayals. "'Cause I know how this ends," he whispered. The protagonist's chest tightened. For a moment, he saw doubt in his companion's gaze, but it vanished into shadow. Fear turned to suspicion, suspicion to rage. The hacker's fingers danced furiously across the keys, lines of code exploding like lightning strikes. They built their empire on silence, he muttered, but I'll turn their weapons against them. The ally stayed back, shadows swallowing half his face, voice calm yet sharp, careful. Every line you write could be your noose. The storm roared as the system pushed back harder than ever, screens flashing denial after denial. His pulse thundered, each keystroke a declaration of war. The room vibrated with electricity, but his focus sharpened into fire. His voice cracked. I won't be erased, not again. The rain's rhythm felt like applause from the city's forgotten souls. Sirens wailed closer, growing louder with each passing second, echoing like wolves hunting prey. The protagonist's breath hitched as he muttered, "They found me." His ally exhaled smoke, his silence heavier than words. The hacker's mind raced, every second wasted brought death to his door. He yanked wires, shoved drives into his bag, muttering, "No more time." His ally finally said, "Run if you must, but you'll never escape them." The words cut like poison, and doubt clawed at him. Was his ally warning him, or betraying him? Lightning split the sky, shattering the moment. His heart hardened, his voice sharp, "Then I'll bring the storm to them." The safe house shook with the echo of pounding fists on distant doors. The protagonist whispered, "They're too close." His ally didn't flinch, only lit another cigarette, smoke curling like a warning. You pushed too hard and now the net is closing. The hacker's eyes narrowed. You don't sound surprised. For a heartbeat, silence became a blade between them. The ally muttered, "Some things were always meant to end this way." A chill crawled down the hacker's spine as unease took root. He clenched his fists, whispering, "What did you do?" The storm rattled the glass, but inside, betrayal had already cracked the room in two. The monitors blinked alive again, but instead of hostile code, a face appeared, a government official, sharp suit, cold eyes, his voice echoing. "You never stood a chance." The protagonist froze, rage cutting through him. His ally didn't react. "How long?" he hissed. The official smirked through the static. "Since the day you recruited your so-called friend." His stomach sank, breath sharp as the storm outside screamed. The ally finally spoke, voice heavy, "I kept you alive longer than anyone else would have." Betrayal carved itself into the air like a scar. The hacker whispered, "You sold me." The hacker's fury exploded, chair crashing against the floor as he shouted, "You were my brother!" His owl's face cracked with something between guilt and steel. "I did what I had to survive." Sirens wailed closer, and the official's voice sneered through static, "Your war ends tonight." The hacker's chest heaved, pain and rage twisting together. Years of trust shattered in a single breath, a single truth. He clenched his fists so hard, his nails cut his palms. His voice trembled but burned with fire. "If I'm going down, I'll take your empire with me." Thunder split the sky, shaking the fragile walls. The ally stepped forward, voice soft, almost pleading. "You don't understand. They own everything. Fighting them only kills you." The hacker spat, "Then let them kill me, but I'll never kneel." His breath shook as betrayal and fury merged into raw defiance. The official laughed through the speakers, mocking, "You think one broken boy can burn down a kingdom?" Lightning split the skyline outside as the hacker's eyes blazed. "Not one boy," he whispered, "a storm." His fingers struck keys with savage force, unleashing a virus built from nights of hunger, rage, and loss. Code screamed across the screens. Alarms roared, monitors flaring red as the system buckled under the unleashed storm of code. The official's smirk twisted into rage before the screen flickered into static. The ally stepped back, eyes wide, torn between fear and awe. The hacker's breath came heavy, his body trembling, but his voice cut through the storm. "You betrayed me, but you gave me the fire to end them." Sirens now screamed just outside, boots pounding on wet concrete. The walls trembled as if the city itself held its breath. He strapped the backpack tight, whispering, "This is only the beginning." The safehouse door buckled under pounding fists, each thud louder than thunder. The protagonist whispered, "They're here," his breath sharp. His ally stayed frozen, eyes trapped between fear and regret. Sirens screamed outside, drowning the storm. The hacker's pulse thundered as he stuffed the last drive into his pack. Betrayal still burned, but survival now demanded focus. He locked eyes with his former friend. "Stay or run. I don't care anymore." The ally whispered, "They'll kill you." His reply was a whisper of fire. "Not before I burn them first." Lightning flared, casting both men in fractured light, a broken brotherhood split forever. The protagonist burst into the rain-soaked street, boots splashing through puddles as sirens echoed like hunting dogs. Police drones hovered overhead, red lights slicing through the downpour. His lungs burned as he ran, backpack heavy with stolen truths. Behind him, shouts cut the storm. "Stop or we fire!" He ignored them, legs pumping, each step powered by rage. Memories flashed of nights, starving, forgotten, invisible. Now the city saw him, but as prey. He whispered through clenched teeth, "Not tonight." Lightning tore the sky as he vanished into a labyrinth of alleys. The hunt fully awakened. He ducked into a crumbling warehouse, breath ragged, walls dripping with rain leaking through broken ceilings. His hands shook as he slammed the door shut, collapsing against rusted steel. "Think," he whispered, heart pounding. Footsteps echoed outside, boots splashing through the storm, voices barking commands. His fingers grazed the laptop inside his pack, the only weapon he had left. Rage and despair fought for dominance inside him. Betrayal gnawed at him, but defiance screamed louder. "I'll bury you in your own machines," he muttered, forcing himself upright. The warehouse rattled as searchlights cut through shattered glass. The laptop screen lit the dark as he typed with desperate precision, launching the virus deeper. "You caged me my whole life," he whispered, sweat dripping. Alarms echoed faintly as the code broke chains, tearing into government files. Sirens roared closer, boots pounding outside, searchlights sweeping. His body shook, exhaustion clawing at him, but he pressed harder. The betrayal replayed in his mind like a scar carved into memory. "You used me," he growled, "but I'll rewrite the ending." The virus screamed across the screen, opening cracks in their fortress. The storm outside roared with him, the city trembling. The warehouse door shattered, soldiers flooding in, rifles raised, shadows slicing through the storm. The hacker's eyes blazed as he slammed the final key, the virus unleashed like fire. He stood, backpack strapped, defiance etched into every trembling line of his face. "You can kill me," he said, voice cutting through the chaos, "but you can't kill the truth." Soldiers advanced, red lasers dancing across his chest. Thunder crashed above as if the sky itself mourned. Betrayal had brought him here, but his defiance turned it into something larger. Tonight, he was no longer prey. He was the spark of war. The soldiers closed in, rifles raised, but the protagonist's screen erupted with cascading chaos. Government systems screamed in red across every monitor, the virus spreading like fire. He whispered, Now you feel the storm. The commander barked. Stand down, but the hacker only smirked. Boots pounded closer, lasers steady on his chest. Then the screen flickered, and the government official appeared again, rage carved into his face. You think this ends with you? He spat. The hacker whispered through clenched teeth. It begins with me. Lightning shattered the warehouse roof, storm and war colliding as his heartbeat roared. The official's voice boomed through static. You are nothing but a glitch to be erased. The hacker's fists clenched, rage breaking into fire. I'm the proof your empire isn't untouchable. Suddenly, from the shadows, the foil emerged. Another hacker. Same age, same scars, but eyes colder, dressed in sleek black gear. He smirked. We were the same once, but I chose power. The protagonist's chest tightened, seeing the twisted reflection of himself. The foil whispered, "Join me, or die as a ghost." His reply cut sharp, "I'd rather die free than live as their servant." The foil stepped closer, rain dripping from broken ceiling onto his sharp grin. "You think they'll remember you? You'll vanish while I inherit the world." The hacker's eyes burned, voice trembling with rage. "You're not a survivor. You're a slave." Thunder cracked, rattling the steel walls as both men faced each other, mirror and shadow. The soldiers froze, waiting for the order, but the tension held like lightning before strike. The official's laughter filled the screens, mocking both. The hacker whispered, "You remind me of the boy I was, and I will never be him again." The hacker lunged back to his laptop, fingers slamming keys like war drums. "If I fall, I'll drag your empire with me." The foil snarled, lunging forward, their bodies colliding in chaos. Soldiers shouted, rifles raised, but the storm drowned their orders. The screen split into fragments of collapsing data, secrets, files, lies flooding the net. The official's voice cracked into fury. "Stop him!" But the virus burned deeper. Blood dripped from the hacker's lip as he hissed, "This is my justice." Foil wrestled him, screaming, "You're nothing." But the hacker's eyes blazed, "I'm free." The warehouse exploded with sound, alarms, thunder, gunfire. The hacker slammed the final line of code, unleashing the virus like wildfire. The official's face twisted into static, screaming as his empire crumbled in real time. The foil staggered back, eyes wide, whispering, "You doomed us all." The hacker stood trembling, chest heaving, defiance blazing. Soldiers aimed, fingers tense on triggers, but the power grid collapsed, plunging the city into darkness. Rain crashed harder through the broken roof, and the hacker whispered into the storm, "Better ashes than chains." In that moment, he became more than prey. He became the reckoning. The city was silent, drowned in darkness, only the storm's voice echoing through empty streets. The protagonist staggered from the warehouse, rain washing blood and sweat from his face. His backpack felt heavier than iron, though most of its secrets now flowed free across the net. He whispered, "It's done," but the words cut hollow. Behind him, the warehouse burned faintly in red sparks, a grave for lies and betrayal. His body trembled, each step weighted with exhaustion and wounds. The storm gave no comfort, only mirrored the chaos inside him. He had broken the chains, but the cost bled into his soul. He limped into an alley, collapsing against cold bricks as sirens faded into the distance. His reflection stared back from a broken puddle, pale, gaunt, eyes hollow yet burning with fire. He muttered, "You can erase me, but not the truth." Somewhere across the city, files leaked, exposing the government's sins to the world. Screens in hidden corners flickered alive with forbidden truths. Yet no cheers rose, no salvation appeared. Silence held dominion. He pressed a trembling hand to his chest, blood mixing with rain. Survival felt less like victory, more like a curse. "Still," he whispered, "they'll remember." The foil's voice echoed from the shadows, weak but venomous. "You think you've won? You've only unleashed chaos." The hacker turned, seeing his counterpart crawling from the wreckage, face bloodied but grin intact. "The people will eat each other alive." The protagonist's breath shook, his voice quiet but sharp, better chaos than chains. The foil's laugh died in his throat as he collapsed into the rain. The storm swallowed his final breath, leaving only the protagonist staring at the mirror of what he could have been. For the first time, he felt the weight of choice heavy on his soul. Hours passed as dawn bled into the storm. The protagonist stood atop a rooftop, the city below lifeless without its lights. Smoke curled in the distance where towers once gleamed. He gripped the railing, eyes scanning ruins of power. His voice trembled but carried defiance. "They'll never cage us again." Yet loneliness crept in, harsher than rain, heavier than loss. No ally at his side, no love to hold him steady. The storm faded, leaving a fragile silence. He wondered if freedom meant anything when it came at the cost of everything. His fists loosened, but his eyes still burned. The city lay broken, but for a single moment, silence felt alive. The protagonist sank to his knees, backpack slipping beside him. His face lifted to the sky, scars carved deep, eyes hollow yet unyielding. He whispered, "I am the storm." His words vanished into the wind, but the truth he unleashed echoed far beyond. Somewhere, strangers would read his code, see the rot of power, and no one man had dared to defy. The storm broke into fragile sunlight, washing the streets in pale gold. The world would move on, but his ghost would remain in the wires forever.